Gaelic Jew, Gaelic J as Gael Labhras.
As leis Gael seo tá sin gáil taiach der Claare na Gael. Smiley Shuashaltacha. Hello and welcome to this programme, Claare na Gael. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Bobby Bob.
And this programme, Claare na Gael, is a bilingual one, with part of it in the English language as leis Perteliagi sa Gilg, and with another part of it in the Manx Gaelic, Chinne na Mera, the mother tongue of Ellan Vannin, the Isle of Man. As Banach and Jurish, well, this weekend Shanach's Due has been taking place, and that's based in Ramsey. But on the afternoon of Friday, the 11th of July, 1828, Dorothy Wordsworth is returning from Ramsey to Douglas on a carrier's cart. But before we look at what she wrote about something she did in Laxey, perhaps we'll think about the route. Ta Mina Harker cor cúnta me cheann an tréimh féigit na lummercan sa chéimeach as henk cé chan bhain steach sa chéimer. Bhí atchimid tre mágáistí leorise leabiach ba dunne leabhar seang na cheadú as déad a ghuaige the bollach. We begin with a song in the Scottish Gaelic by singer and piper, actually RONA LIGHTFOOT from Uist Jazz, South Uist. The old woman asks the old man if he's going to marry. He says yes, and it turns out he's going to marry her. Tashu geisjach rish radio vanning, stashu na nashun, viskolder skelia mach, by dulish, allen vanning.
La sachailleach la sachailleach la sachailleach himbo hokio himbo asambatach basohen a sachailleach basohen a sachailleach basohen a sachailleach pasami asambatach la sachailleach la sachailleach la sachailleach himbo hokio himbo asambatach Conje, a sachailleach conje, a sachailleach conje, a sachailleach hauhen, a sambatach. Ili, la sachailleach la sachailleach la sachailleach himbo hokio himbo a sambatach. Kunye hiku, a sachailleach kunye hiku, a sachailleach kunye hiku, a sachailleach hasavina, sambatach. Ili, la sachailleach la sachailleach la sachailleach himbo hokio himbo a sambatach. Ili, la sachailleach la sachailleach la sachailleach himbo hokio himbo a sambatach.
RONA LIGHTFOOT from her album Éireann, the song Eel ar sa chailleach. Eel, I think, is just a vocable. It could be well, something like that. But then we have a construction found in Manx as well, as a chailleach, says the old woman. Now, the owner of the BAYLIS cottage, or one of the ladies running it as a guest house, Miss Trivett, has taken Dorothy Wordsworth up to the road to wait for the carrier's cart in which the front place has been taken for me, a most pleasant conveyance. At first over very high ground, crossing frequent glens with rivulets and trees thriving wherever scattered. Well, she was joining the carrier's cart at the foot of Slieu. It would be a long way round to go to Portlaig to Kirkmachold, with a very stiff climb at Ballajora, quite a long stiff climb, and also again to reach the Hibernian. There be steep ascents anyway, but John Drinkwater's map of 1826 shows milestones, and it appears that the main road was, at that time, directly up Slúlaig. The Slúlaig Hotel, the rest and be thankful, dates only from the 1880s. There may have been refreshments a little further on at the Hibernian. That house and garden were bought by John Looney in 1813, and though it's not mentioned as an inn until 1839, the fact it was an inn in 1839 probably suggests it may well have been before that time, so perhaps in 1828 when Dorothy Wordsworth was passing. Va enem yn chailleach, vai kunten a firelia, an edin mor kier, a straen urledach, Uri hutje seilje ons linje keel ben. Na melen jurge weimegelia, les na fieglen gibbach bene raag en edrock. As na sulien jurge vei gien dren mi fagen salai grenia unjegen kiel wurre ons witby. Va enem nis a chron jurg a wesh, bolva Jonathan woele. Rish tullach van ma chrie gin boelje. As weiden der liga maachs grech. Ach, der hou me keer lachit. Severne, Lore en sors de hanisch geer orach, as Sheena maach meer Jonathan Gouds Lore. Be de host, ma vishien be acid, niem eschen na Gael, as na enje negge a vransel maach rosh de hulien heen. Wami aglit as Sharon rauwer de jinnu na de grij weg. Les munge fachedach, hugge en derrelau megielen, as scoil greim chonjim, renny roestem scornach les a lau elje. It's a song in Breton now about a son who's a thief. He's lazy and a womanizer, and he says he'll probably go into politics. And then the singer complains that the establishment always does well for itself, whatever happens. DENEZ PRIGENT. Breton singer from Santec in Finistère, whose father was a fluent Breton speaker but used to speak French in the home. But DENEZ PRIGENT acquired Breton from his grandmother, and there he sang mab-laer, the sun thief. Dúirte chouds renne shen, hoiach, beggan de oeredach mor ounder son me eben, cart de maid o tannacht en tost, gene sio en chidgeert, na naer ren de chuslenen me fes a oerige. Wa mi currit a sharn, a squech de loer mor wei, gerau mi giri cum rele. Ta mi sheen de wel sio put jen rid eegi ten lid sio, tret an laweg a benten rische grai. As me ye gau chimajim, huggein na melen bren me scornach. Ren na dunje shesje dobber an rish, renni klespa launes jenna, as yichi les chimma, mor de be geshen de ver vergiel jinte, as hai Jeni me manjart jij soel, as van mi lie manilu. Kreeg houd van rid aglach sjo tannacht en on hasem, ach ve jeender au tamelt jouwer, en gol sja rosh me rawi vom a wiel brein aglach. Rosh me rawi vom a wiel brein aglach, vagidach. Honnik me de renne drigge lesh een oel oer. Ve jeender rauwe kunyon rauwergie rish tamelt. Now, from the Hibernian, the road then falls down to the Corrie Bridge, which the keystone, as we know from William Kinnish, was set in the year he was born, 1799. There's another climb up out of the Corrie to Glenmona. Then the road was down through the valley rather than round the rim of it, as the main road is today. And that going round the rim of that valley was work undertaken by Edward Cuttine, who put in the high road from Glenmona to the Kingorrie, just above Minorca in Laxey, now Kingorrie House. On the old road in Glenmona, as you go down below Ballyshilleg, there's a milestone on the right-hand side of the road showing in Roman numerals that it's 11 miles to Douglas. Well, it's then down across the bridge, just above the confluence of the two streams that delineate Belig there up on the right, and then past Tholaqueen on the left and Ballellin on the right, to the present main road again. However, just a little further, the old road went down again towards Mitchell and the Dhoon. And of course there's then a very stiff climb up out of the Dhoon and up to Ballarach. And there we heard youngsters of BUNSCOILL Dhoon playing May Ellis's tune Green Hills of Dhoon, since we're thinking of hills in that area, and of course they've been taking part in Shanach's Stew this Easter weekend.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Siodiw stasiwn yn asiwn radio fanning, si Claare na Gael tar y Claare yn Cartnish, mer yn pin Robert Cytyn Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Te keirdiw Claare na Claare sior y siacht yn lwg gol y chile yn chyrchirt, glorish rai y craman agert inedega radio fanning, a shira enema Claare yn shen. Te Claare na Gael jint mor podcastnius, as keirdiw gedden y nasty vai inedega radio fanning, na vai yn rai chiera the podcast jou, wel shen Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn na Alexa. Now from Ballarach we go down past Ballacquirk and Gretchveg, past the two ancient monuments of King Ori's grave on either side of the road, and then it's the descent from Minorca down into Old Laxey. And this is where actually Dorothy Wordsworth had come back. She had said wonderful views all the way to Douglas, but then she brought us back to Laxey. And it's there that she says, "Tempted by the cleanliness of a poor hut to enter it with my companion, a young Methodist, who exclaimed to the poor inmate, 'How happy you are! Here you have everything, health and contentment.' 'Nay,' says she, 'I very little. I have only what I get by spinning, and that's but so much the hank and so much the pound.' 'Well, but there are good people to help you.' 'Good people are but scarce in this world. I don't get much in that way.' 'Well, but you have health, and that is the best of earthly blessings.' 'It is a great blessing, but I have nothing else.' Now, there was no reason why the young Methodist should conclude that this poor woman had any unusual share of health. Renny liagacha, as vergi sinkel shis limage raya dunja shesha va kummel susi. Lesh eb fi voor hugge origine chailleach, as hai Esh, lore rum de creidjach. As mar saw bailt, gurish na firelia, cor de inchen na nai tempin. Bailt kuna lesh na dania shaw de hjeld me as de chor lidl as orm ons me gerelen. Ta fis nish as ta fis oxen ons pert hanna, as be sledden fis ox rosh vorder. Nervis regedden vai chit tessen ma red. Lizagad ver rele brie is na eben oxen imit en snedder den en die. Gouds vad cor kujach nin Gaelium mai ren rail herish a shunen, as ren mi klugern son, as ren mi kaga son, gieten de vlienten ros merouwe in rugger, van mi gavrige nin ai, as os, an vers moe en oil dou, dus tau fail je me ale, fool je male, munja je mo bunja, me fres fina field trish tamelt, as na san me, biw me chumreg as me cooney. The Pan-Celtic International Song Competition will be taking place next Thursday evening in Carlow. And last year's winners were the Cornish band Carrigy Do with a song by Annie BAYLIS. Carrigy Do are going again, this time as the Annie BAYLIS band. And here she is singing that winning song from last year, Ollandra.
Kevis ra cymeras yw'n limha, there goes o pesio, wethlo yn tesri a hannig yn gasni, yn reigan o landra. Cregis y stawo yn taw pred yn ni bryderyn, mes mas yw'n preisgw, dreili'r yn tablus, lyma thwen metien, esedda, Kelly's a hand carries. A heaven, your home's moss, all you the need of the sea. Money heaven, near water knee, held the falls out on sea. Lem how the pochetti, sombre donzi e crespalis, like a lame egg of flame. Tiengam and go, you mirrors one as in all. Agus quellis, boscocky, the halis. Bis ficken now commedas, to rosso brasetanes. Kenny bunas, and rain a cat sauce. Guedes Eurois, dragon ray, silly handcuffs. My heaven, neurons, moss, all you the need of them see. Bonnie heaven, near water knee, pelder the force out on sea. My heaven, neurons, moss, all you the need of them see. Money heaven, near water knee, pelder the force out on sea.
And that's Annie Baylis, who'll be back in Carlow this year with another of her songs in the Pan-Celtic International Song Competition. That was her winning song from last year, Ollandra. Bios de chwlina red a Gael. An on na welfare bijou, ach ni sirweisach de eamon. Ach fos biwd de cherachas on shenva jinted. Ta was ang oil arn ons me chumrail. Nish higu eg me aim. Tre tam inchen greirut, tar, higu herish tollu was moor de chwlina ma agnia, as gus an image shen shaw. As sen, Jarni foslit a ljena, as lesh na ingnan ljauwer birachege, doshele kushlin se chliwege. Tre gauwe noel toiach der sprei ma gas, gauwe me gael lau ons lau eggesen, as goil greim chonjau, as lesh a lau elje, renne greim ma wannel, as renne sai me wiel gus a lot, drawe orm, eder ploege, na slugge shies perche, me ye, kreter ve jintem, de heiltjen lidden eri, mister chor ebe, schulens mine des care sol je me leen, gauw chimme jim ye. Now this enthusiastic Methodist has seized on a poor woman's health as the best of earthly blessings. The woman herself says, whilst health is a great blessing, she has nothing else. And Dorothy Wordsworth is doubtful even of her health. She had no appearance of it, she writes, and must have been above 50 years of age. She'd never been married, had lived alone, and was one of 9 children, all now dead or dispersed. After all, my friend again exclaimed, how sweet! Here is everything that is needed for contentment. And, so satisfied, parted with these words, uttered in a soft piping tone, Peace be with you, think upon Jesus. Again replied the old woman, That is the only thing, that is the best thing. I certainly saw but little except the extreme cleanliness of her poor hovel, and, divided between her and an aged neighbour who was keeping her company, the few halfpence I had in my bag, which certainly seemed to give her more comfort than my friends' felicitations on her blessed condition. Our return visitor to Shanachis is singer and instrumentalist from the Gwyddor Gaeltach in Dhoon, and this is CATHAL o CURRAIN, and here he sings about poor Labhras on whom the flood comes up.
Bhím se lag an flís bun an trábhí mátachas céad amach an ciaull. Bhím sa ladar an bríte sa madar an seanna sa wat a bhí mún sí. Na da chanig a bailana go róma se fallú ba éir go rinse má chléilbhiú. Ma chatas ma watas ma chailleach chaitas gur chuirse na bhála muscin mai. Leis a chailleach bhála go bhicin me tartar is galanní a go bhahíú. A lan war galatas gatan ar bhórsin tá ascan í híre. Gillen jaris ke bheith níos de sin a gailibh sin go seich mí le. Scanan ar leanna a bheith na bailí a me se bheith ar an sa líú. Is gomúla schaige a míse. Bínsad na cailleach í bocail le bhárí gannéna teadú ar a bhíbheal. Ar bheirlis gan scafaí ébre go na caille ní sin na farchart na ddíge. Sta dé te lomsa go dtí leanna bhéidan sa áhar na ddídá. Agus áú caille ní áú caille lí.
CATHAL o CURRAIN, who also presents a programme, Failure Narigel, on TG Cathar, and there he sang Jirri and tuile Labhras from his album Cosán Kiaull, Cadan Kiaull in Manx, the Path of Music. Now there's a steep climb up Old Laxey Hill and up to Pinfold Hill to Ballacannel, then the descent past Ballabeg and Ballagorn into Garwick. Again, another fair climb up out of Garwick. Now, John Drinkwater's map shows a milestone just past the Liverpool Arms at Ballacachan, and so from there the road is going on up the hill to Bigode and Bibelo, and then there's a long descent, quite a steep one, down to the White Bridge, and a shorter ascent on the other side, a stiff climb up to reach Onken. The road, says Dorothy Wordsworth, still pleasant through the pretty village of Kirkconken on the heights that looks down on Douglas Bay. Met Henry and William on the sands, and Mr. and Mrs. Putnam. This was certainly one of the loveliest evenings ever seen, sea as still as a mirror, reflecting the streaky sky. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Putnam lived, if you recall, on the Crescent, which was just below Burnt Mill Hill. And in fact, I noticed the dam and what were called the remaining walls of the snuff mill were sold in 1812, and what is now Summer Hill was at the time named for that burnt mill. Dích nos anam bach ons krikkel smoo erskin besoil, as ons mechen gauw chimmer jousen des dousentie en oil. Esch gauw I toiach der rubbene melenek, maar de bergheid de glenne het weibenbrood. Gouds wie gintje skiel aglach ek, ren sperig jaar gol toiach der öfjoche, as henk de gulje rid de wei na spachtel as na spachtel. Verhaker gin ljeltis as na host. Ach, herrische nedenegge, gouds van kunte eegi golair, henk graai wat chit de wei na strimme, ons seilsje vore. Derre ons een gietskel jurk jen watran, regiet limonus, ren de neel agen de bachtel naien alt, wat chit de wei ben. Ta sin a reiche de wel fergin de hannachten fagus de loer de glaasjen eme fire nieuw vanre, der a oddesmut chit kujach is reiche de roilens laugin utulju. Je shore tammy shigger, de wel een green giri jew taike solerish, ne wel fair elia as traia smoer ons kiert boer a goers leoil. And that's the Welsh band Arlog with some very well-known Welsh traditional dance music, taking us back to their very first album in 1978.
Manx Radio.
The Jaro Tashu Geistach, Rish Stashun and Ashun Radio Vanning. As on Shaw's Shane Claare Hengach Shaw Vishlachan, Claare na Gael, Mish Robert Cutting Carswell or Robert a Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Cabdil Geese as Feed, Liorla Jonathan Harker, and Trasla Jerafauer. Fair signed out Gino Riddenach, na Golas Michiel, Tammy Screwa Gilan Shaw. Te nish share a chlag, as te foin chitrachelius a chemus duderis ons lieur de grey, as Gael Riddenach de e. Sontan fairly Van Helsing as an fairly Seward ons Cordale, maar a Welshin gee na bodma Gino a goed sharein. Jew mort a fissek G, be fame a goed sharein. Sign thou frail riscrew ec dach ke, son chalios thou square vai de smunion. Sign de chulju rid, moor as beg be screw cheese. For thee for jere de gin the ridden beggar, ginzige dun and goed smoo. Ga noddach an insach, moor na beg, a chor mina na missions in it been a smedder na shenta shin on Jew. Ach, sign dun tres jail as jerkel. Ta mina wach ninch thou cartnish, lesh na jair, rai shies na legen an minek, de vele ons borre siechen, ten creduine gull prowel. Now, before setting out on their walking tour via the south and west and through to Ramsey, Dorothy Wordsworth and her 18-year-old nephew, Willy, had been staying on the South Quay in Douglas with Henry Hutchinson. Now, he was the brother of Mary Hutchinson, who was married to Dorothy's brother and Willy's father, the poet William Wordsworth. Henry Hutchinson was a retired mariner. He'd been born in Penrith in 1869. I wondered whether he might have sailed at some time with Captain Robert Brown, the father of the Reverend Robert Brown. Captain Brown was born in 1761 and he died at sea in 1800. Keeping house for Henry Hutchinson was his sister Joanna. Joanna had taken Dorothy to visit the family of the Reverend Robert Brown and later became godmother to Margaret Brown, so the Hutchinsons evidently knew the Browns very well. However, Joanna hadn't accompanied Henry, Dorothy and Willy on their walking tour because, well, it seems she wasn't well. We'll hear more of that anon. Now, we heard Scottish band Skip Inish last time with piper Andrew Stevenson. Well, this time is his wife, Gaelic singer Rachel Walker, singing here with the band CURRAIN.
Alla var a ho choshin kovik, alla de shisha bride and kriel, Emma de frave shanya vedam, sisha volong chlawniele ching, stuliage toch gakkerie. Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik. Hu kan again Yeshua si vraden, Shua de shisha vraden geloch, Emma de vrouwen nahi geet, snambiek versake ven me bad, je maarek shiviach aan het Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik. Hu kan again Yeshua si vraden. Ha kill guide and tie naira, sola sarten tie na baisha, sira gortig grian is failsha, nach pulum sa ben na baisha. Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik. Hu kan again Yeshua si vraden, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik, Allah wat a hoog hoshin kovik. Hu kan again Yeshua si vraden.
Rachel Walker singing the song Alla Vara Ho with Crún, a song that Rachel Walker learned from her tutor at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, Dr. Kenna Campbell. Now, we hadn't been told about Joanna Hutchinson being in ill health as far as I could see, and she'd certainly walked with Dorothy Wordsworth. That was only round Douglas, although she did go across the sands to the Putnam's house, so she'd gone from the South Quay over to the north side and then walked across the sands to the Crescent. So it's a fair way, I suppose, 2.5 miles. But Dorothy Wordsworth notes, I found Joanna, alas, not much better in health. And in fact, just looking ahead, just before she leaves the island, Dorothy Wordsworth leaves the island, she and Joanna have taken a stroll on the Red Pier, and she remarks that she's uneasy about Joanna's spasms. So perhaps there's a respiratory condition here. And thus, anyway, here, writes Dorothy Wordsworth now, ends my tour. That's her walking tour, although she got the carrier's cart from Ramsey to Douglas. Thus ends my tour, which certainly has confirmed my previous notion, that with proper culture, this island might be made even more beautiful than the Isle of Wight. In many parts the shores are abrupt, rocky and bold. In others, green yet steep. The rocks mostly of a fine dark hue, which I think much more striking than the white southern cliffs of England. The whole island is well watered. Some of the streams, considering their short course, are even considerable, and the glens are fine nurseries for wood. Te grey de valley orin frail rish trace jail, as the gin g cúnalien gusan jera and jera. Oh, my ye grey vissen jera. Gusava. Trevan fairly van Helsing is een fairly sewer der jit back by Fag and Renfield Bach. Rentjen lord de trom chushach, machon de verjeno. Hayach dentjen fairly sewer dun. tref eschen as een fairly ban Helsing ang ulgus en chamber hies, de rauwe de ngedden Renfield na laer ulju kraplet. Van eddenegge broedjet as kruidjet stjach de sledden, as ver krauwen na wannel brisht. Vrij en fairly siwr gen ten chailleach voor gino currum sahalia rauwe chlaschen weg. Dorte de rauwe na hai, rennig oirish de rauwe lie havina. Tre chile CURRAIN urges a chamber. As esh, de rauw Renfield nullig maag de herd, kius de geerten, me ye. As lug shen de denk fire jay tushem shies. As tre highest jacks a chamber, de dore na laer a lair, an edin foe, cart mo rauw na fierlie nagene. Bribe an Helsing jay, rauwe a clashen, CURRAIN na CURRAIN. Well, here Breton bard and singer Francis Maule laments the unhappy times when it's difficult to get work.
Sera uit 2 miljoen kanar neves, de oors aan alla waren dirio arbriones, tu koos a jou an kisu, oh, c'est là où il m'a va homsu, oh, va bon. Ebe sam serglarus varnom zo eruet, het pa urkias malaurus, dem des avis guelet, kannst du da so glaret, oh, tam la burbet viskavet, oh, vavro. Gwechal an den avischer palabur e bendes, les laouen a seder e chouni des herves, Bram en ti egesiu, oh, ne glever ne met klemmu, oh, vavro. M'avait cassé dans estren pepini barzevro, an trau a heller kumpen, ja fe gwello endro, e France e mein da verniu, oh, ganto ma laburiu, oh, vavro. O France, o mamken karet, rodeum kalabour, or halo nous oranet, dus bu an dorsikour. Songen am zerdremenet, o, ni orbes as i vennet, o, vavro. Adar brisel divesa enorme peus besonget, ali serpen kenta ni azo bekaset, goude gouni da brisel, oh, gannaoun ni ranko mervel, oh, vavro. Outru due beniget due ardistenien, o tu galiken karet a radio herbeden, mirit an ol briseliu, o, avu idiom laburiu, o, vavro.
Francis Maule with Du Prince on accordion, and at the end he asks for divine protection from wars and to give work. The irony is that the recording is from 1938. Dorte na body grey. De rauwe giende getoiach, de rauw deja on. Ach, no na rauw pecher bi Elias a chamber, na vodage away ach en nen. Adage grey vol lu, me weg femer, de rauw na vogelen, me ye na lord ljorischen sorrensach. Besides, adds Dorothy Wordsworth, wherever wood is seen on the high ground, it thrives. The small clefts or glens are innumerable, and the whole country, except the mountains, is sprinkled over with houses and huts. Now perhaps we'll finish off these extracts from Dorothy Wordsworth's diary next time. As Masaw Sinead Cartnish, we close Claare Gael with music written and performed by Becky Hurst, who's here for Shanachas Dhu this weekend, and she's playing here with her band Burling Jerg. Chris Pearson will be here from 7 to 9 with the best of chill-out music for your Sunday evening, and then at 9 Judith Lay will be presenting her programme Sundown. As Masonish, until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve I Machrieru, as Orcher Ye, as my Yeri and Shed you will you.